Sandwalker, and this is a special stream test, in a way, of Star Citizen. Why am I doing this today? And why am I doing Star Citizen now? Well, it's pretty straightforward, actually. Basically, during the Invictus week, I had attempted to do a couple streams, and upon looking at the videos later, the frame rate on the stream wasn't nearly as good as the frame rate I was getting in real time, so I was a tad disappointed in that. But I did some reading, and I played with some settings, and I wanted to see how well it would work out now that I've made some changes. I have no idea how well this will work out. If it's really horrible, this will be a very short stream. I've got the stream running on my iPad along with the chat, so I should be able to see in real time whether or not this is decent or whether it sucks. So, let's find out. Right now, I am at Port Olisar. It used to be one of the starting locations of the game, but that kind of deprecated a little bit because there was accidents, shall we say. Actually, it's not so much it was accidents, it was more along the lines of people were ramming ships off of landing pads, and that's a horrible experience for a new player. So let's see, I think I've got a freelancer sitting here. So far, the frame rate looks a lot better than it did during my Invictus streams. So I think I did something right, which is rather unusual. So I'll probably have this stream going until 3 o'clock Eastern, I think. That'll be a decent 2-hour stretch for me. Or a little less than that, technically, which is about an hour and 50 minutes from now. Surely I can find something to fill the time with. Now, right now, just about everybody in the game, let me rephrase that, everybody in the game, period, has access to a MISC freelancer. It has to do with a bug that involved, I think, endless loading screens, where you couldn't actually get in the game because you were stuck loading. That's utterly horrible. So everybody's got a freelancer. Now, beyond that, I have the freelancer because I have a purchase of a concept ship, which has the freelancer as a loaner anyway. So, right now, ship's powered off. I'm going to kick it on.
Hello, how can this help you today? Systems on.
Now, I'm going to take a look and see what's available right now. Before I do, though, let's take a look at the ship itself. I have bothered to, over time, get it some extra equipment. Basically, and I basically did this off of someone's YouTube advice, and it's done pretty decently. I'm using cool core coolers to help keep the heat down, a military-grade power plant, which I may or may not be able to do when the game goes live, a couple of Rampart shield generators, which I believe are more hit point related as opposed to, say, regeneration rate related. I know there are some people out there who recommend you have one generator for heavy hit points and one for high regen, and I may eventually go with that somewhere along the line, but it's not a priority. For my weaponry, I have the stock missiles. I didn't really feel the need to do anything exotic with those. And using attrition laser repeaters. Now, I've used these, and I've used ballistics, and I think the ballistics might have a slight edge. The downside, of course, is that the ballistics will run out of ammo, and the laser repeater attritions will not. Now, I've done some of the bounty missions that exist for the game. which allows me to go after players if I were that kind of person. If I thought, I would do anything except be another notch on their kill boards. Or I can go after these AI-derived opponents. Now, I have taken out CS3 opponents in an Anvil Arrow, which is a light fighter. So I should certainly be able to handle this CS3 here. Especially with the upgraded equipment, because I was using the stock Arrow equipment, and I've got custom job stuff here for my freelancer. So we'll see how well this does. I might get blown out of the water. That'll be entertaining too. I'm also going to grab the mercenary mission Call to Arms, because that way, if there happens to be support for that bounty, which there will be, I will be paid extra cash to take out those helpers. Unfortunately, it looks like... Oh, good. I was worried that this would be a location that was right next to the station of Grim Hex, which gets complicated. So without further ado, I'm going to lift the ship off.
Launch sequence complete.
I'm going to spool up the quantum drive, which is my not quite faster than light, but does okay. And I'm going to go right between the ring here. Ooh, sounds like someone blew up. You might have noticed the red triangles indicator on the screen while I was turning around. That indicates a hostile/valid target. But I was also in an armistice zone, which means my weapons wouldn't work anyway. Now what I've also got are gimbals on this ship, which allow me to get some aim assist, because I can't hit the broadside of a barn with fixed weapons. It's sad but true. There's going to be help for that with the next big patch, which could occur, I don't know, maybe the next couple weeks, maybe. Don't know. It's on Evocati testing right now, which is the first wave of the public test units, public test universes group of people. I'm not that dedicated, it's too much like real life. Okay, my first contact. I'm looking for Craig Francois. And my contact just went away, which is a bad sign. Of course, it could just mean that one of the support ships just hit a rock because the mission is still active.
Contact received. Contact received.
Kelly, Craig.
Contact received.
Ooh, I'm getting a lot of things. Looks like they're all Drake Buccaneers, I think. Let me just do a quick verification of my targeting. No, 2 of them are Buccaneers. But one of them is a Mustang. I'm not too intimidated by the Mustangs, honestly. Not in Freelancer. Now, if they'd had a Cutlass or something like that sitting out here, which is a medium-sized ship, then we would be looking at a potentially dangerous situation. But I feel that I should be able to take out relatively light fighters, even ones that are as front-loaded as Buccaneers, fairly easily. The trick is being able to hit my targets. Now, I admit the attritions aren't as viscerally entertaining to watch as the ballistics, but I am doing a decent job on hitting my targets. There are some people who recommend flying decoupled, and I've tried it on the Arrow, and it has its pluses and minuses. In fact, some of those minuses may be coming into play now for not flying decoupled. I'm flying, after all, very close to a rock, and if I hit an asteroid, it may not kill me, but it will certainly mess me up. Now, theoretically, the attritions are supposed to be even more damaging the longer you shoot them, because they convert heat to energy. That's what the book says. The reality is not so much. Maybe that's a bug, maybe it's not. I'm not worried over much about it because I just took my first kill there. And now everybody else here is gravy. I am am scoring hits. I am getting through his shields. That's the guy in the upper right, as opposed to the one on the upper left's indicator, which is me. Ooh, there goes another one. Leaving us with the Mustang. It sucks to be a Mustang pilot sometimes. Whoa. Of course, it also sucks to be me if I should actually, collide with them. If I collide with them, I don't get paid for them. And that is all she wrote. CS3 bounty did pretty good. I don't believe I've taken any real damage on my ship. If I hop over to my items under my power menu here, one of my attritions is slightly damaged. A couple of my thrusters are damaged a bit more, so I did take some hits there. But oh, is that 58%? Oh, I took some serious damage on my turrets, but the turrets are never used because they require somebody else to be in my ship to use them. That was entertaining enough, wasn't it? Let's go for one of the big boys. Now, I try to make sure that I get the bounties that are listed as Crusader Security, because if I go for this North Rock group, they could be anywhere. Plus, I've had some issues with one of their bounty missions, so I was doing a group bounty. Didn't end well. I killed all my opponents, but I didn't get paid. That matters. I can expect a large multi-crew ship with heavy escort support. So, we are going to once again give myself the opportunity to be blown up. Unfortunately, no, he's not near Grimhex either, so that's good. I'm trying to avoid fighting near a space station that is likely to have people around it. Particularly people who don't mind criminal status. And I really don't want to accidentally get criminal status myself. I mean, prison play kind of thing looks kind of nice, but I prefer to go on my own terms. Someone's running a Carrack run. I'd be tempted, but I think I'll pass on that simply because of the fact that I am streaming and it might be considered impolite to be streaming on somebody else's work. Alright, here we go. Let's see if we can take out Tatsumi. And I've already got a target, but I don't have an identifier on. Okay, now I do. And oh, they're flying a Valkyrie. Oh, this is going to be a rough one. Valkyrie is basically a dropship with lots and lots of ballistic guns. Oh yeah, did I mention the torpedoes? Good news, while I hear the noises of well, the good news is they haven't fried my shields yet. So my shields are doing what they're supposed to do. Unfortunately, their shields are doing what they're supposed to do too. It's basically handle my shots. Oh, I think I just might have gotten a little bit of an edge on them. Come on, let's go through this. Oh yeah, I can see some hull damage. A lot of my shots are landing, it looks like, which is good. I am getting hits on them, but I don't know if I'm getting effective hits on them. Oh, don't you dare crash into that rock. And there's the bounty, down. Let's start taking care of the extra boys here. Got a Mustang here. The surprising thing is I heard of them trying to lock on missiles earlier, but don't think they actually fired anything. That surprises me an awful lot. There's another one down, another Mustang to go. Just went past me. That's another one. A Cutlass Black. Okay, he must have been the one who was trying to lock on torpedoes on me. Unless he did fire them and I just never noticed them. Oh boy, he went down awful fast. And a second Black. I can't help but think that these guys were previously damaged. That went remarkably well. And frame rate is doing a lot better than it was during my Invictus week mid streams. The kind of thing that almost tempts me to make a regular Star Citizen stream for some point in time. Something to think about, something to think about. I got involved with doing the Star Citizen thing at the back end of last year. Like, maybe a couple days before New Year's. And I figured out pretty early that, yeah, I like this game. It's an alpha, so it's nowhere near ready. I think I'll do a delivery mission. It'll get me a little bit of travel miles on me. Oh, it's here too. How useful. I decided early on that I would be spending a significant amount of time here. So I originally bought an Aurora MR, one of the starter packages, $45. And while I was not particularly good at dogfighting in it, you know, it's been literally decades since I've last done a space sim game. I think back in the X-Wing and Wing Commander days. That's how far back it's been. But I'd been following the development of Star Citizen pretty early. I think I registered with their site back in 2013. But there were a number of issues at that point. Number one of which being it wasn't actually existing yet. It was still, very much in development. And secondly, the system specs they were anticipating would make my old system curl up into a ball and cry. But time passes, stuff happened, they got an alpha out. But I was still using a computer that would basically burst into flames. Not a priority. Finally, I got my current system, which is more than sufficient to play the games that I was doing at the time, consistently, like Star Trek Online, Champions Online at the time, Star Wars The Old Republic at the time. The words at the time show up an awful lot here. And I basically had a hole in my schedule because I pretty much said I'm done with Old Republic for reasons that you can read on my blog. You can find the address for that on the lower left of the screen. And if you do a search on the whole Old Republic thing. But as much details as I'm going to go. One moment. You can always count on spammers, even in the phone world. Then where was I? Right. I was discussing the hole in my schedule. Basically speaking, I quit Old Republic. I had a bad encounter with their support people, and it more or less burned me off the game. And I was looking for a space game to fill my time. EVE Online was certainly a leading contender, but then I realized I had a computer that could actually play Star Citizen. And I started thinking. And push came to shove, and bang. Here I was. Okay, let's see if I can get this to land properly. Oops, I'm a little too quick. So why don't I go to this other pad over here? Now let's try this again. little slower.
Collision. Port collision.
I'm gonna load my landing gear. Those collision
Landing gear down.
alerts are a little annoying sometimes. Sometimes I can get to the point where I can auto land this.
Auto land.
There we go.
Front collision. Landing successful.
Sometimes that landing is not a gentle landing. Let's see, I'm on a landing pad. I might be able to do some repairs here. And I'm going to refuel up my everything here as well. Now in the upper right hand corner we have some details that's worth mentioning. On the upper right, there's this bullet with a circle slash through it. That indicates that this is Armistice Zone.
100%.
That means, theoretically speaking, people are not going to be able to shoot at me here. Theoretically speaking. They can still, you know, kamikaze the ship with their own ship, but really, when you're far away from a major port, or more importantly, far away from somewhere where you can spawn your ship, it's less attractive to suicide ram. It also means you can't use personal weapons, so somebody can't snipe me here, or put a gun to my head and shoot me when I'm picking up packages. Now, the little satellite-looking icon is a different one. That indicates that there's a communications network that's online that is monitoring activity to make sure that everybody is being nice and polite and good. If you kill somebody for no particular reason around an area where that comsat is sitting, then you are going to be busted. I'm going to make use of this trading console. See if I can fill some stuff in here. Stims or medical supplies? Stims or medical supply? I can get a pretty good profit on the medical supplies, but the downside is finding buyers. Oh, you know what? Let's load up anyway. Cargo hauling is one of the riskiest professions in this game right now. It has very little to do with piracy. It has more to do with the fact that if a server crash happens, you lose all your cargo. And all the money you spent to buy the cargo. And then we have little bugs like this that sometimes happen where your deliveries don't come out. Luckily, sometimes you'll be lucky to try again and it comes out here. I've noticed that usually if the marker is below the floor, you might as well give up on it because it will never come out. If it's above the floor or at the entrance, just hitting the button again should make it work. Oh yeah, someone just left a location, and apparently the diamonds are in demand and low. But that wasn't where my delivery is, and I'm not interested in going there. Now that I've filled up with cargo, sometimes the cargo actually vanishes and is basically invisible. But today, we get the live cargo. Now, from the looks of it, we're all full up, and you'll see we have filled in this area too. And I am told to deliver to a location called HDMS Lapin, which ought to be really entertaining because that's a very popular location for haulers and pirates. This could end up being a very, very unusual trip. But I might get lucky. Could happen. Now, in case you hadn't had a good look before, this is my freelancer. It's not the fanciest ship in the world, but it does what I wanted to do, which is a little of everything. If I want to fight things, it can fight. I want to haul some stuff, whether it's box deliveries or cargo, or both like today, it can do that too. It can't mine, of course. Can't win them all. Let's see. The location I want to go to is the world of Hurston, or more specifically, the moon of Ariel. But I'm going to try to go to Everest Harbor first, which is the space station. And the reason for that is space stations have a, let's just say they have an adequate demand for medical supplies. And the sooner I offload medical supplies, the less chance I have of losing a lot of money to what we call a 30K, which is basically the server crash. Now, once I'm out of the Crusader system, which is, there we go. They put a lot of detail in these ships, so we've got these bunks here, which theoretically doubles escape pods. Don't believe the hype. Maybe someday. We've got a door here opening for what will presumably be food processor, water dispenser kind of things. Doesn't work yet, but I would hope that they're going to get to it at some point because they put in the status system, which allows you to get thirsty and potentially die of dehydration or die of lack of food. Over here we have a non-functional but amusing bathroom setup, which includes the shower, the toilet, and the sink. None of that's actually functional. But someday. This is a game that's in development. Minor things take longer. Up top here we have a docking ring, which will theoretically be used to dock with things like other ships or space stations, stuff like that, somewhere down the line. How that's going to work, I don't know, but I have a sneaking feeling that these rails here in the center are going to probably drop to become a ladder of some sort. That's a guess. I can't prove that. And then we have the main cargo area. And I always have to go around this way because if you try to go through the other way, you often end up stuck. Why the right side is better than the port side? Okay, starboard, better word. Let's be proper nautical terminology here. Why that is, I don't know. As for me, myself, I'm currently using field recon armor with one of the various undersuits, which is the basic spacesuit, minus the helmet. For some reason, the undersuits don't come with the helmets. Fortunately, when you first buy the game, you come in, you do get a basic undersuit and basic helmet, so that's not a horrible deal. That wasn't what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do was pull out my assault rifle for personal protection. Well, actually, if I want to do personal protection, I might go more with the sidearm, which is a laser pistol, more or less, for lack of a better phrase. I'm also carrying on my right hip a multi-tool, which right now has a mining bit, which would allow me to hand mine stuff if I could actually find minables. That's not a guarantee. And I've got some reloads, some med pens, which allow me to heal, oxy pens, which would be useful if my oxygen got to a horrible point, reloads for my rifle. I don't have reloads for my pistol out right now, simply because if I'm in a situation where I'm using my pistol, things are already bad. Armor is hardly the only look you have in the game, though. If I go to my equipment manager and I unequip my undersuit, of course, that may have worked out poorly. There we go. Here I am with my trench coat, long coat, duster, the usual, which is kind of a common appearance for just about every character I make in an MMO, and why should this be different? It's not starting clothing, however. You have to go to specific locations in the verse, or more accurately, the system of Stanton, which is the only system in the game, at the space station of Grim Hex, or at the landing zone at Delamar called Levski. Both of them have dusters for sale. Strangely, you cannot have any weapons equipped with that kind of look. I've never really been 100% sure why that is. Ooh, I hear this magic sound of deceleration. First, I'm going to get back on the spacesuit because the last thing that I want to do is try to step out into open space without a spacesuit. Go ahead. Guess what would happen? Go ahead. And I have exited the quantum travel state, which means I am heading right towards Hurston. Not quite at top speed, thank God, but at a fairly reasonable rate. Now, I said I was going to go to a space station, but unfortunately it seems that I got landed to a spot which I can't go there directly. So I'm going to reset my route, which is going to get me to a navigational point. I believe technically OM is orbital marker. And off we go. Just a short jump, but it allows me to get a clear shot at the space station. In theory. Well, the reason I say it's in theory is because sometimes I make the jump to Everest Harbor, but the marker is way off what it ought to be. But that is not the case today.
Quantum travel complete.
You'll find that most space stations in this game look more like this than they do Port Olisar. I regret that I didn't really put too much effort into showing what Olisar looked like from a distance, but hey, we have another hour and 20 minutes left in the stream, approximately. Now, in order to get a legal landing, I will have to open up communications with them when I am close enough. And when I'm close enough, they'll hail me, I'll talk back, and they will assign me a landing berth. Now, at these stations, there's two types of landing berths. The one that I'm likely to get is going to be a landing pad, much like what I was using at Olisar. But if I had a larger ship in play, there's my message. If I had a larger ship, I would be brought into a hangar, which is a horizontal entry.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
Haha, and I not only got it right as far as landing pads go, I even managed to guess which pad I was going to end up at. Now, I am coming in kind of upside down to it. Everything is relative in space. Drop my landing gear down in advance. Cut my velocity limiter so that I can't go too fast and ram into the side there. Which may yet happen anyway, but...
Front collision. Deck collision. Starboard
The auto
collision.
land.
Auto land on. Landing successful.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay.
I'm going to turn off my engines, but I'm going to leave the power on in the ship because I'm only going in here long enough to sell off some of this cargo. Now, the downside about medical supply runs is that you usually cannot sell them all at once. At least not in the places that will give you the largest profit margin. And we're all about profit margins here. If you're hauling cargo, you want profit margins. And really, the Freelancer is a decent ship for it. But if you're going to make cargo running a habit, or a career, as the case may be, then you're going to want to have a ship with a larger hold. There's a Freelancer variant called the Freelancer Max, which has almost double the amount of cargo space in it than the Freelancer base that I'm using. Other alternatives are some of the bigger ships, like the Carrack, which is a multi-role ship but primarily exploration, but it happens to have cargo pods that can fit a very large amount of cargo. The Drake Caterpillar, which is a very dedicated cargo ship. you can't really, and you can buy a boat. Well, you can't buy the Caterpillar on the RSI store on their website, but you can buy it in game for an obscene amount of credits. Carrick you cannot buy in game or on the online store at the moment, although it is becoming available soon in game for an even more obscene amount of credits, I understand. And there are a couple other ships that have cargo holds that would make it worthwhile. Because we're talking like numbers of 500 to 800 standard cargo units as opposed to the piddling 66 that's in the Freelancer. Now, to be fair, the cargo in the Freelancer is basically an excuse as far as I'm concerned at the moment. The main point of my coming out here was A, the delivery mission. The one I took will give me around 8,900 credits, so good deal. The second reason, this is the Hurston system, and I have access to a whole lot of bounty missions here. See, I can only sell 1,000 units, and I've got 6,600 units. And the refresh is kind of slow on here. So I'm not going to be able to sell another 1,000 for a bit. That's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to deliver the box. Then I'm going to come back here, see if I can sell another 1,000. And then I might switch up the ships. That way, the ship with all the cargo will be safe here, even if we have a server crash. I'll still be able to recover because it's effectively stored here, including the cargo. Now, unfortunately, the downside of this particular map is you never know where exactly your ship was based. Yeah, it still has it, so I'm gonna have to guess what pad I'm on. Yeah, that's a graphic bug too. You may have noticed that the elevator kind of came literally out of nowhere. It's a bug. It's an alpha. You have to expect this sort of thing. I keep telling people, if you expect this to be a finished game, bug-free, even under MMO standards, you are going to be sadly disappointed. This is a game that is still in development, with all that implies. Well, it's not a number 1. And let's see, where's the distance on my ship? Pretty far, so I'm going to guess it's going to be either 3 or 4. Because 2, I think, is right next door. Oh, it's always nice to see someone talking about 30k potential errors. But the fact that this elevator is working right now, and I was able to go in and out of it and make it operate, would lie to that. If it was a 30k, I wouldn't be able to open the doors. I'd be stuck. Fortunately, since my ship is still here, that means I would not have to worry about losing the cargo. If I were actually smart, I would take a different ship. Just take the cargo out of the Freelancer. You know, that is a brilliant idea. I think I'm going to go with that idea. It's not here, so it's got to be on 4. I have a number of other ships. I have decided that since I'm going all in, that I have no shame as far as what I'm going to bring out. So I'm going to go in the ship, I'm going to power the ship off, just in case, you know, the authorities don't like having a powered on ship. It takes very little to get a parking fine. It could be because your doors are open, it could be because your engines are on, it could be because Mars aligned with Venus. I may only be joking with that last one. Maybe. And it could be because your power is on. So I'm going to just power off the ship.
Weapon system off.
And I'm going to take the cargo box, the delivery box out of there. And I'm going to take a different ship so that the ship with all the cargo in it is nice and safe against any potential server crashes. And I can still deliver this box. Thanks to a duplication bug, for example, I know I have in my stable available at least one more freelancer. However, that freelancer does not have all the bells and whistles of that one. It is a stock freelancer as opposed to the one with the personally purchased weaponry, shields, coolers, power plants. But I have a couple other ships available, and some of them will be able to handle cargo. One of them might be the RSI Aurora MR. I might have that available here. If I do, that will work out nice. Because it's a small, light fighter, but it can carry cargo and carry cargo, well, and carry delivery boxes. Now, granted, the amount of cargo it carries is like 3 standard cargo units, which is pretty pathetic. And it looks like we're going to have to fight for use of the terminals. I'll be polite and not worry about it yet. There we go, see? Pays to be polite. Let's see if the RSI Aurora is here. No, it's a new advantage. I can take the Starfarer Gemini, that's a loaner for a ship of mine, but... Oh, I can take the Freelancer Durr. Freelancer Durr is a different variant of Freelancer. I spoke of the Freelancer Max, which is the cargo variant, but the Durr is an exploration variant. Now, what that means is very little right now. A lot of the capabilities are waiting for gameplay to be designed for it. But it does have larger fuel tanks. Now, that's saying that it can't do my request, but that's a bug, because I can see the marker already for it. And it should tell me it's on pad 4. Good, I'm still carrying my box. So I'm going to go to pad 4, put this on board that ship, and then let my medical supplies percolate a little bit. Secure in the knowledge that no matter what happens now, I will not lose money. I mean, I'll be losing potential money in the form of this box because if a server crash happens, all the missions I'm on, any contract I've got running, that's gone. But, on the other hand, I don't lose money to get the contract. Now see, it's got a different paint job. It's got a slightly different appearance. It's got those big fuel pods. This ship is designed for more exploration. And what I'll usually do for this ship, is I'll put a Drake Dragonfly in here, which is basically a hover bike, since I don't really use this for cargo hauling. And it makes sense to have a secondary vehicle available for a exploration type ship. It is not a priority. That said, I am going to HDMS Lathan, and I might be able to yank the Dragonfly out there, so, you know, maybe we'll fiddle with that. In the meantime, let's make sure my course is set to my destination of Lathan. And Lathan's one of those tricky destinations. I know that there are some folks who like to think of that as a great piracy target area, meaning you get some folks who are there and they'll try to pirate you and steal your stuff, or more likely, hold your ship for ransom. And the reason for that is that Lathan has access to one of the more valuable commodities for trade. It's also expensive. Well, I did say not. Fortunately, I'm not going there for trade.
Quantum travel.
And if they want to hold my ship hostage, they can have it. I'll simply blow myself up and respawn at Everest. I'll still have my medical supplies. Now this is the moon of Ariel, and I'm going to HDMS Lapin, and that stands for Hurston Dynamics Mining Station. Hurston Dynamics is a big name in this game. They're the manufacturers of, well, guns. Particularly ship-based guns. They sell the attritions that are on my other freelancer, and they also sell dominance weapons, which are laser scatter guns. Now, they don't have any other weapons there. In fact, if you go to the Hurston Dynamics building, and well, actually anywhere else in the landing zone of Lorville, I don't believe any of them sell weapons aside from that showroom from Hurston Dynamics. And you can get them in all sizes. You can get them suitable for light fighters, or you can get them suitable for the biggest ships in the game. In fact, they've got weapons that I don't really think will fit on any of the ships in the game yet. I may be mistaken, but I haven't really looked too hard at all the various ships in the game and what size weapons they can carry. But I'm pretty sure that nobody's carrying size 6 guns yet. Incidentally, I'm carrying size 3 weapons on this ship. From a technical standpoint, oops, wrong button. From a technical standpoint, I believe it could what it can hold would be size 4s. Except you can't take out that weapon slot, so they're size 3 weapons. It's a size 4 hardpoint, but it has that dual mount on there, and I don't believe you can take it off. Which is no problem for me, because I am just fine with that. You'll also notice that I had attritions on this particular ship as well. That came stock with this ship. It's a pleasant surprise. It's always good to be able to fight with a known quantity. I'm pretty sure, however, that the rest of the equipment on here does not match the equipment I have on the other freelancer. Okay. The good news is the comm stats are still up, and if that's still up, that means there's probably not going to be too much worry of piracy. It's not impossible, but it's less likely. I'm going to cut my velocity and try to go in for a slower landing. And here's the other thing I was planning on mentioning that I don't think I ever actually did. The ComStats presence, if you are caught doing a crime, you will get something called criminal status. And a criminal status event, if you have criminal status of 2 or higher, they put bounties on you. If you get killed, you'll be sent to prison. Good stuff. It is not a high on my priority list. Not today, at any rate. Plus, I hate it when the doors close early like that, because then you have to back out to get them to open again. If they would allow me to trigger them to open and close, that would be quite easier. And we are going to close up the back here because I don't want anyone sneaking aboard when I'm not looking. I realize that's a bit of a long shot there. I mean, sneaking aboard a freelancer Dur, what would be the point? And now I have a decision to make. Do I want to go get the Dragonfly, put it in the back of Dur, or do I want to fill my cargo hold with Laranite? Because Laranite is reasonably valuable. It will sell. It will make me money. I guess the first question is, how much Laranite is here to buy? And I only have 36 cargo units here. Oh, decisions, decisions, decisions. You know what, though? My long-term goals are more important to me than short-term satisfaction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down this way. See that building all the way in the distance with that blue top? That is a location that will allow me to spawn ground vehicles. Most of which you can buy in-game. In fact, 2 of my ground vehicles are from in-game purchases. I picked up an Anvil Ballista, which is basically anti-ship vehicle. I bought it just because. And a Grape Cat Buggy, which is literally the cheapest vehicle in the game. I think I paid like 6,000 or less for it. And considering that one mission here got me 8,000. Yeah, the rover I'm not picking up because that's part of another ship I've got. Oh dear, they gave me a dupe of my buggy. Oh, the bugs persist. The dragonfly is what I want, though. I blew it up on another planet a little while back, so I'm going to go ahead and let this go, and it's 200 some. Who cares? I make that kind of cash easily. And there we go. It's right outside. The one thing I like about hover cycles is that it doesn't really care about how rocky the terrain is. As long as you don't ram yourself right into the rock, you should be fine. And basically, this is a 2-man hover cycle. Someone can sit in the back, someone sits in the front. I don't know if the guy in the back can shoot or anything like that, which would be pretty cool. I kind of doubt it, though. The Dragonfly can also operate in space, but it can't operate in the upper atmosphere. So basically, if you drop from space toward the planet, you're going to suddenly find that gravity is a harsh mistress.
Thank you. And please visit again.
Now, the Dragonfly also has some scatter guns as armament, but we're in an armistice zone, so the armament doesn't work. So I'm going to pop us up here, line myself up with the back a bit, and then I'm going to shut down the engine because otherwise
Engines offline.
Otherwise, what's going to happen is that the ship is... Am I low enough? I hope I'm low enough. Otherwise, it's going to turn out that I'm going to get off here, and it's going to... There we go. It hovers, and it hovers pretty high up. So if you try to get off of it while it's still hovering, you'll have to jump up and hope you can jump high enough that you can trigger the pilot seat mount here. So, turn off the engine first. You can leave the power on, but turn off the engine.
Engines online.
Now the fun part is because I'm hovering, that means I'm kind of a little high up, so I gotta actually force it down a little bit. Careful here, I don't want to go too far up, because if I go too far up, it's going to be awfully hard to get into the hatch back there. Engines off.
Engines offline.
Power off. Dismount, and hopefully I left enough room in the back where I can close up. I did. So there we go. I've got my Dragonfly in here. That allows me to pretty much go wherever I want to in Freelancer here, land, and then go tearing up the place on the ground. There aren't very many places that you can go in one of the Dragonflies and you can't go in the Freelancer, but they do exist. There we go. Now that I'm all set on board, I've delivered my delivery. So my next step is go back to Everest. Store this ship.
Landing gear up.
And the neat thing is once it's stored, if I pull it back out again, it will still have the dragonfly in it. Theoretically. Both still happen. But 9 times out of 10, the dragonfly will still be there.
Quantum travel engaged.
So why am I going back to Everest? 2 reasons. One, I want to see if I can sell another 1,000 units off the freelancer I've got there. Oh, see, I think this is another example.
Quantum travel complete.
I've gone to this marker here, but no space station in sight. It's all the way over there. I knew if I followed the curve of the planet, I'd eventually see that as a quantum destination.
Quantum travel complete.
Alright. Now, it seems we're on the dark side of the station. Orbits happen, and sometimes the local sun isn't in a good place that we want it to be. I can still see the lights on the station there, so I'm hoping that by accelerating faster and slowing down at the appropriate time, I will not embarrass myself by smashing into the underside. Because that would just be embarrassing. Doing that sort of thing during the stream, for heaven's sake. I am getting closer. I see the shadow. The black upon the black. Or more accurately, the part that hides the stars. I should be getting in communications range shortly. Change orientation slightly. Slow it down. I see the comms are hooked in.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
So now I want to see if I can find where they want me to land. I'll try to get myself higher up too, because I want to be above the ring. I imagine I'm taking the exact longest way around. Doesn't bother me. Once I'm this close, it doesn't take too long to circumnavigate. And there it is. You can tell by the wrench icon. That's telling me, hey, this is where you're supposed to land. And if I land within the blue box, I can do things like repair my ship, reload its ammunition if it's ballistic weapons or missiles, that sort of thing. Because it's dark, I'm going to turn on the headlights. Yeah, ships have headlights. Gotta figure, it's dark. You want to be able to navigate. Drop my landing gear. I don't think I need to worry about fuel. I certainly didn't use any weapons systems or anything like that, so.
Deck collision. Auto land on.
So we're just going to drop headlights now. I got what I needed out of there.
Landing successful.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay.
Engines off. Weapon system off.
And everything else is off. The other reason I came back here is because I want to grab a fighter and grab some bounty missions. Because, you know, it does get boring to just watch someone go back and forth playing around with the cargo haul and delivery. I mean, sure, I have Snappy Patter, but that's not really fun to watch, is it? Blowing up spaceships. That's the fun thing. That said, I certainly enjoy cargo hauling. It's just I'm not going to inflict it upon people watching the stream or the video later if, you know, someone's happened to be coming across it later. So, we're going to take a quick stop at the back of the station and see if I can sell more of that nice chunk of medical supply. Then we'll grab another starship and blow stuff up. Now I notice that there is another potential problem waiting to happen. You'll note that in the lower left-hand side, I have, above my blog logo, I have an indicator indicating that, it just dropped a percentage point. I'm slowly and slowly getting thirstier and thirstier. Eventually, if that gets down to 0, I will die. Likewise, the other icon next to it, that's for food. And if that gets to 0, I will die. And I'm sure that you can figure out what the oxygen tank is for. If it goes to 0 and I'm out somewhere where there isn't any air, yes, I will die. Sensing a pattern here? The goal here is, and I know this will be shocking, the goal is not to die. Let's see if I can sell another 1,000. Yes. Now, I still have 4,600 to go, so, it's like I'll be doing this a few more times. But, if I'm doing something in the interim, that's not such a big deal. Now, I'm wondering, at one point, yes, I still have it. A couple days ago, I bought a bottle of water and stuck it in my inventory, and I'd never gotten around to using it. I didn't think it would persist, but it has. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off my helmet. And you'll see that it's taking off my helmet. There's no animation attached to it yet, but maybe someday. More importantly, though, I'm going to go into my inventory now, and I'm going to select drink, and I'm going to drink it. That's good. Bottled water. Cool and refreshing. Oh, apparently not refreshing enough. I was kind of hoping it would get my hydration level a little higher than that. And we'll just shove the rest of it down. Unfortunately, there are no garbage receptacles. Well, okay, I guess that isn't. You automatically throw it to the ground. I find that an incredibly rude thing to do. Whereas over here, it looks like it's... Okay, no, I thought those might be garbage cans, but if they have a danger label on them, they're probably not garbage. But I think over here we have the classic dumpster. Well, I am okay with dumping garbage on dumpsters, so we will place the bottle on top of here. It's got good suction on the bottom there. And I'm okay with leaving my food as it is right now, so I will re-equip my helmet before I forget and inflict myself upon the airless void, unprotected. That's the sort of thing that could get embarrassing quickly. So we are going to jog all the way back to the vehicle retrieval screens. And we're going to pick ourselves something a little more suitable for fighting. And I'm going to grab an anvil arrow. It's basically a stock loadout. I didn't do anything fancy with it. I like the look of the ship a lot. It's very fast, it's very maneuverable, it's pretty deadly. It's also like balsa wood. If you look at it meanly, you'll probably kill it. Now, it's a little more difficult for the AI opponents to do the job. But players who are using auto gimbals, like I was using with the Freelancer and will be using with the Arrow, that becomes a little bit more problematic. That's a good way to end up dead. Hey, Dappa, how's it going? See, this time I'm hopefully more timely with my responses to the chat today. The chat I've got sitting on my iPad is sitting to the side there, but my monitor is big enough that I lose track of what's going on half the time. Of course, for all I know, that message has been up there for the last 20 minutes and I just didn't notice it until now. Story of my life. Now, that has to be the reference to the water, so it couldn't have been that far long ago. Anyway, the Anvil Arrow. It's a catchy ship, light fighter craft. I like flying it. I am doing fine, thank you. This is kind of your fault, Daphne. I would never even thought about streaming at all until I'd seen a couple of your things and realized, hey, I still have a set of headphones left over from a class I took at work one time. And my computer can actually do more than one thing at a time. Why not see what'll happen? And bam, here I am. Of course, I'm usually doing Star Trek Online because I figure, hey, nobody streams Star Trek Online, so why don't I do that? Things I do. Okay, 5 minutes. That makes sense. I also don't have the fancy software stuff. I'm using basic OBS for the streaming. I'm not looking to make a career out of this. Let's grab a bounty hunting mission. North Rock I'm ignoring. I don't think I can handle CS4 in an arrow, but I can handle CS3 with a bit of work. Alright, let's take off.
Takeoff complete.
And let's unfold the ship. Yeah, it's hard to see when you're on the side of the planet that's dark side.
Please visit again.
But I am a big fan of the design of the arrow. Okay. Let's shoot down a bad person. They usually have these wonderful quantum beacons available, and they tend to stay in one place, unlike player bounties. Well, you've got it all over me, Duff. You have a much better setup than I do. I'm using a single computer for both streaming and the gaming. I don't have a separate computer for streaming, and even if I did, I don't have the capture card or whatever to make that work. Among other things. I just don't have the motivation to go all out.
Quantum drive is now.
I hate it when I do that. Sometimes when they do the quantum, it'll put you through objects. That's okay though. I'm okay with that. Because that's a lot better than coming out of quantum, heading at top speed with an asteroid about 2 kilometers in front of you. That's bad. Now usually, the one thing you'll notice is that if there's a location you're going to that's not on a planet directly, you're going to go to the major celestial body first, and then to a specific location later. So in this example, I jumped to a moon, and now I'm going to jump to the location of the bounty. So if I'm doing long distance travel, it's along the lines of, okay, I'm going to the moon of a different planet. And if I do that, I need to target the planet first, then jump to the moon, then jump to the location around that moon or on that moon.
Quantum drive is now off.
Okay, I'm going to put on my gimbals because I still can't hit the broadside of a barn without them. I'm going to turn off my coupled mode, and the whole decoupling and all that requires a little bit of explanation here. Ordinarily, I'll fly standard. Oh, here's my target. Daiki? Nope, that's not Daiki. Here's Daiki. Here's Daiki. But if I decouple, like I am right now, Newtonian physics gets involved. Basically, an object in motion tends to stay in motion in that general direction. And I want to be heavily in motion here. This way I can be flying backwards. Oops, someone's firing missiles at me. Throw some countermeasures and hope to God they hit the countermeasures and not me. Because if the missile hits me, well, I talked about pulse squid earlier, right? Now, I am using ballistic weapons on the arrow, so it will eventually run out of ammo. But it has a fair amount of ammo to work with, so I'm not too worried. The other nice thing that if I'm flying decoupled, I can be moving forward but firing backward. And I've been trying to do the decoupled thing a lot with the arrow, because it's a light fighter and maneuverability is supposed to be it's basically its hat. When you think of arrow, you think of maneuverability, or at least you should be. And we have one more target here. I feel kind of a little silly at the moment because I usually map my guns so they're on the same mouse button, but I forgot to do that, so I'm having to hit both mouse buttons to make this work. It's not that big a deal, just does have it. There we go. You definitely don't want to get hit. This was a fairly easy Crime Stat 3 target. I was expecting to run into some of the medium-class multi-cruise ships, which would have a lot more ammunition, a lot more guns, a lot more missiles. So come closer. My weaponry wants to say hello. There we go. Oh! That was a little too close. Okay, I'm going to put back on my coupled status and get rid of the gimbal so I can be sure that I'm flying straight. And that'll give me time to adjust my weapon. So I'm going to grab one of my multifunction displays, set the weapons. I have 6 missiles available. I try not to use missiles if I don't have to. And we are going to set all the weapons on the same weapons group. So now only one mouse button to worry about. Oh right, I don't have all ballistics. I have a mix of ballistics and lasers. That's okay. I'm good with that too. I am a big fan of the Arrow. It is a nice looking ship. It is not something that's going to be good against the really big combat ships, heavier fighters, or even the medium ships like the Cutlass Black. But it does what I like it to do, and well, that's what matters. Okay, let's see about blowing a hole in somebody else. I don't seem to be centered properly. Sometimes the centering on this thing doesn't... Oh geez. It's right here. I got lucky, I was facing the wrong direction. I could have been jumped while I was fiddling around trying to figure out where's the bad guys. Let's accelerate our speed a little bit. Once I'm in the red here, it becomes a lot harder to maneuver, so... Some people do the jousting thing and just go with high-speed passes, but a future patch that's going to be coming within weeks is going to cause some severe penalties to doing that. And I always find I like to be able to maneuver more than I like high velocity. Kim York. Alright, Kim. Let's turn off main coupling mode again so that I can let Newtonian physics get involved. And I am going to see about stopping you before you become a problem. Ah, now this is a Cutlass Black, so this will be a fight. I'm pretty sure that I can avoid most of the hits, but he's got missiles available. Oh, speaking of which. And that would be one of those missiles I was talking about. Oh, well, that's the kind of thing that happens. Sometimes you get the bear, and sometimes the bear gets you. And I respawned, theoretically, at Everest. Everest Harbor is where I landed last, so Everest Harbor is where I should be. I mean, we always spawn in one of these habitation units. And heck, since I'm going to be by the admin area again, I might as well see if I can sell off more of those medical supplies I picked up earlier. Open sesame. It should be private lobby anytime. There's not that many floors in this habitation area. It's a little rougher going from the hangar area to the vehicles because it has to travel kilometers. Just a couple, but you know, it still takes time. Okay, let's see. Will they buy more of my medical supplies, or no? They're still full up on it. No, maybe not. Yes, another 1,000 sold off. 3,600 to go. I will empty my freelancer sooner or later. Unfortunately, now I'm kind of down in arrow. Have to file an insurance claim on it. And then I need to decide whether or not I want to fly out against that mission again. Who am I kidding? Of course I want to fly that mission again. That said, I think I'll still be doing the Arrow and not, say, the Aurora. The Aurora's not a ship that I'd want to be taking into combat against that kind of prime stat 3. Okay, 7 minutes for that to arrive. Or if I expedite it, it will take me 1.5 minutes. But I'm sure not paying money and still have to wait time, so I'm gonna just have to wait for that 1.5 minutes to go by. In the meantime, I think I'm going to take a moment to go to another part of the station and get another bottle of that water. And then I'm going to stow it in my pack so that when I become thirsty again, I will be able to drink it down. Now that said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull that off with food. And I'm not even 100% certain I'm going to find water here. I think I bought the water at New Babbage on the World of Microtech. I'm waiting for the pizza to become available. Right now it's basically sandwiches and burritos and stuff like that. And other healthy stuff you have to be at Microtech. And let's buy that and stow that. We'll see if it manages to stay good to eat for an extended period of time. Well, I can't stow it, so that means I can't do that. I'm going to place this down for a second because I'm going to put on this keyboard. Isn't that polite of me? I am such a horrible human being. Unequip my helmet, so now I'm able to pick it up and eat it. Nom 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 nom. That should take care of any lingering need for drinks. Sorry, for food. Drinks are still an issue. Ah, there was water here. Excellent. We'll do a quick buy and we'll stow that away. I'll re-equip my helmet because the last thing I want to do is step out into space without the helmet and suddenly discover what it's like to breathe in vacuum. Spoiler alert, it's not fun. Especially seeing as 9 times out of 10 the oxygen is gone before you get the helmet back on. Try to recover from that mistake. Not always. I pulled it off one time. I got lucky. Okay. At this point, I should be able to do an instant expedite to my claim now. Arrow, arrow, arrow. Expedite the claim, and let's see how much time I'd have to wait. Instant. So I'm certainly willing to pay the money for instant delivery. And we'll wait for the vehicle to be delivered on pad 3. wait for the doors to magically open. Like I said, the landing pad is a little less than 3 kilometers away from where I'm standing right now. The elevators have to travel. Plus, you know, it's like real life, you just gotta hit the button repeatedly to make sure it took the first time. How's that for immersion in the game? But if you keep hitting the button, maybe it'll arrive faster. Now, with any luck, nobody will have gone to that particular area and killed off my bounty before I get there. He's still alive now. Otherwise, the mission would be listed in a failure state. The nice thing about the insurance is that it refills all the consumables, like missiles or countermeasures or ballistic weapons, fuel, that sort of thing. Alright. Bounty mission, take 2. I wonder if I'm fighting 2 cutlasses over there. There's 2 cutlasses, that will certainly explain how I got pasted so quickly.
Landing gear raised.
Thank you. Please visit again.
Set my course, which should still be the same as it was before. The other benefit of staying out of the red line area, as far as velocity goes, I don't have to worry about the G-forces rendering me unconscious. It's not impossible, of course. I could get clipped by an asteroid or bounce off of another ship, get me spinning so fast I just pass out. And that is never a good feeling to have if you're in an asteroid field. I'm kind of giving it more credit than it deserves to call them an asteroid field, of course. They're a bunch of floating rocks, but there ain't anywhere near enough to be an asteroid field. Just enough to make it interesting.
Quantum drive is now off.
Let's get my weapon set again. I went through all that effort getting them set on the same weapon group before. Oops, turn that back on. Turning off my weapons would be a very bad decision.
Quantum drive is now on.
I mean, missiles would still work, but utility of missiles against medium-sized ships.
Quantum drive is now off.
Well, I guess missiles would be decent if they were appropriately sized to take out medium-sized ships. They are not on this ship at any rate.
Okay.
Cutlass Black. Yep, there's 2 Cutlass Blacks involved, and that's how come I got turned into a greasy stain. 2 medium-sized ships versus 1 light fighter. Oh, and they're already locking on their missiles. Yeah, I'm just kicking out my countermeasures like there's no tomorrow, because the last thing I want is those missiles to turn me to dust. Oh, there's those G-forces I mentioned. See, everything went red for a minute there. And I'm also not doing the decouple at the moment. Whoa. That almost got me killed right there. Oh Christ, he's still doing more missiles.
Shields down. Shields charging. Shields.
Oh. Okay, you know what? Let's get off decouple. Let's decouple now, because some of these are becoming way too close calls. I need this stuff to go in my favor, not theirs. up already. Yeah. Alright, one more guy to go. Hopefully he doesn't have any more missiles to throw at me. Okay, a little bit more. Oh, maybe a little bit too much there. The whole point, after all, is to get a standard kill so I get money for him as opposed to ramming into him and getting nothing. Oh yeah, that's what happens when you unleash hell for too long an extended period, because then you can't be in that great shape. I'm getting all these hits on him. And he must be down to fumes. Oh, actually, he's down to a lot more than fumes. Alright, let's get back to Everest and do some repairs. I'm pretty sure I took a couple missile hits. Although not nearly as nasty a missile hit as I've... Actually, let's first turn off the decoupling and make sure that I'm moving in the direction I want to be moving in. It would not be the first time I've been distracted by trying to set my course somewhere and find out that, since I wasn't paying attention, let's see if I can impact an asteroid. Oops. Actually, that's a... Why should I go to Everest to do this? Why don't I just land on the moon at one of the stations here? Bezdek, I think. We'll land over at Bezdek and repair there. And restock there. Let's take off the gimbals too. Easier to steer.
Quantum drive is now on.
Wow, the atmosphere here is bad.
Quantum drive is now
I've seen worse. Aberdeen is really horrible. Aberdeen is bright yellow sky on bright yellow ground. That's when you pray your instrumentation is going to do what you want it to do, because otherwise horrible things will happen. But you can see if we look at the exterior view here, you can see all the cratered ground beneath. There isn't much in the way of oxygen out here, so, you know, spacesuits are still mandatory. Bezdek is another one of those locations. This moon seems to be very high on the whole laranite potential, which is one of the more expensive commodities to traffic. Well, legal commodities, I should say. I'll also reset my destination because I'm not 100% sure where my destination is. If I don't have a mission that takes me there, I don't have the marker to show me where it is, and I could overshoot it easily. Because these are little outposts. Easy to get lost. It's also just really good. If I put on my quantum drive, I could see how far I was away from it. But I'm going to rely upon my altitude as my primary indicator here, meaning the closer I am to the ground, the closer I am to my destination. And there we are, and it has convenient landing pads, which is the main reason I came here after all.
landing gear stabilized.
it down. Get myself over the pad. If the auto land works, great. If not, I'll just manually do it. There we go.
Landing complete.
And let's hope it's not bugged. It's not. There used to be a bug where you couldn't actually do any of this stuff unless you were actually hovering over the pad. You couldn't actually land and do the stuff. You had to be hovering to do it. And they've mostly fixed it. But there are some places that seem to have trouble doing all this stuff. I don't need to refuel the quantum. It's only, well, why not? It's only 1 credit. And I can watch the progress by looking at my fuel and looking at my status on the lower left display.
Is at 100%.
When I see that thing flashing red, I'll know the repairs are done. Theoretically. There we are. And that takes care of the repairs. I am ready to roll for another mission to take. I think I can do 1 more mission. I think I'll stick with the CS2 though. I'm not going to bother setting course yet because they'll try to chart me, of course, while I'm in the gravity well, atmosphere, whatever you want to call it. I'm never 100% sure. It says it's atmosphere, but it's not breathable, so.
Takeoff complete.
Oh, sounds like some. Oh no. If there was someone else coming here, whoa, something's wrong. Oh, the free look's still on. Whew. Thank God I was going over flat land. That could have gotten ugly real fast. Trying to figure out why is my ship not turning? Because my default is standard mouse movement moves the ship. I can put on free look where I can basically look on the sides and be moving in a straight ahead direction. But if you lose track, well, horrible things can happen. Horrible being defined as crash myself into the ground and make a mess. Okay, this one's going to be a 3-step travel. I'm going to go to a moon, then I'm going to go to a navigational point, and then I'm going to go to the quantum beacon that has my target located. I am not sure what that quantum beacon is. When Invictus Week was rolling around, that was indicating where the United Empire Earth's fleet was, where they were basically doing their celebration, recruitment drive, what have you. But I don't think that's in the game now.
Quantum drive is now on.
And I bet if I pop it up on my star map, I'm just not going to be able to see that either. Let's see what happens after I've taken care of this bounty. Crime Stat 2 bounties I should be able to handle fairly easily. They usually don't have Cutlass Blacks involved. It's usually just a pair of single-seat ships. Usually a Mustang and an M50 Interceptor. The Interceptor is scarier of the two because it has missiles. And like I said, my ship is basically paper mache. It exists to avoid being hit.
Quantum drive is now off.
Hence the reason why I'm willing to spend countermeasures like pennies when I'm up against a fight like that. Because missiles get a lock on me. They have a high chance of blowing me up. Or at least causing me enough damage that the fight is going to become much more difficult. Plus the M50 Interceptors are fast. They're usually racing starships. Well, starships being one-seater starships, but still. Alrighty. Time to go into the next pack of rocks and see what's hiding under them.
Quantum drive is now off.
There's the direction of my target. Let's get those gimbals up. Oops, my weapon groups are off. Why are they off? Oh, it must be because I'm doing single shots. I hope it is. Joseph, you picked a poor day to be a bad guy. I generally try not to go head on to these guys unless someone's got a missile. If I give them some discouragement. Oh, lag spike. I hope that's not a bad sign. Like say server crashes. One down. Let's get this other guy. He is flying an. Oh no, he's not flying an interceptor. I thought he was. That missile luck must be a remnant from my previous fights. Oh, be careful here. Some of these guys do have a kamikaze attitude. And that takes care of him. Now, let's see if I can find that other quantum beacon that I was seeing earlier. I might have to be on the other side of the... Okay, well, you know what, we'll just head towards Everest. See what I can find that way. I shall just pull out to see if I see the quantum beacon anywhere out here. No? So I have no idea what that quantum beacon was showing me earlier. I feel like it should have been showing me something. And now I will forever be wondering what might have been. If only I had thought to go to that beacon while it was there. Travel there and see what was waiting. If anything. I'll always wonder what I could have found. Oh, wasn't that overly dramatic?
Quantum drive is now off.
Still not seeing that beacon. It was worth a try. Good news is, theoretically, straight shot to the space station.
Quantum drive is now on.
We'll land, prepare, rearm, sell some more of those medical supplies, and maybe I'll take the rest of the supplies down to the planet below. Mainly because I don't want to have to remember that I have a cargo there later on. I think I'll have gotten most of the profit that I could want off of the sales here at Everest Harbor. Am I going to miss it by several hundred kilometers again? I am. You would think that they would have that beacon fixed.
Is now off.
So I'm going to have to try to guess where it is again. Follow the curve of the planet. Oh, for pity's sake. Well, there's Lorville, so it can't be too far out. Ah, there it is. I could have gotten there probably faster if I brought up the map. Sometimes I'm too stubborn for my own good.
Quantum drive is now off.
Okay. The good news is we are on the lighted side of the planet again. Bad news is the Star of Stanton is half blinding me, so I can only barely see the station. That will become incredibly embarrassing in a few minutes if I don't adjust my approach a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't really be losing much if I crashed into the station at this point, but it would be embarrassing. Okay, start slowing it down. Get back to standard combat maneuver speed. Open up communications.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
Hope they put me somewhere close. I don't see close. So just circumnavigate the station until I see where they decide to land me. No wrench icon here. So it might be all the way over there. There it is. Literally as far away from my originating point as I could possibly get. Once I get close enough, I can start turning off the cruise control, so to speak. Put down the landing gear. Make my approach.
Deployed. Forward proximity alert. Autopilot.
And we are
Landing complete.
down.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay.
Restock, refuel, rearm, repair. Re. I'll wait till the repairs are done. I'm never 100% certain if they'd continue doing the repair even after I leave the ship. Best not to take a chance. It's probably already done. I see the fuel's already done, so.
Engines offline. Weapons offline.
Alright. Get myself, figure out which way is the way in. For as often as I get out of these things, you would think that I'd automatically know which direction had the entrance. What can I say? Nobody's perfect. If I recall correctly, this is pad 3. I've got another maybe half kilometer to go before I get out of the elevator. Good thing these elevators are a lot faster than real life elevators. Let's hop over to the administration. Sell off 1,000 more units of those medical supplies before I take my business elsewhere, so to speak. Incidentally, Everest is kind of the location I kind of prefer as my home location as far as spawning in and out most of the time. It's got the benefit of being an easy straight shot from the habitation unit to the vehicle retrieval consoles. Alright, and I broke 400k. Awesome. It has been a good day. And the habitation unit is right next to the administration, so it's not nearly as complicated as getting from the habitation unit on, say, Loreville, or ironically, I'm likely to log off. Life is funny that way. But it would take me a substantial amount of time to get from the habitation to the spaceport. Speaking of, let us store the arrow and pull out the Freelancer. There it is, so no matter what the console tells me, it is here. They have retrieved it. They just have a bug where sometimes it retrieves it and says, wait for it, we are unable to deal with your request, even though I'm looking at it, or at the marker right there. It's on pad 3, big surprise there. Now we wait for another few kilometers and hope we arrive quickly. The good news is that the primary space station of each planet tends to be in more or less geosync orbit above their primary landing zones. So it will not be very long between Evers Harbor and the city of Loreville. Man, I love the Freelancer. It's gonna break my heart to set it aside when the Mercury Star Runner comes around. There's all the spare medical supplies. Got rid of the ones in the secondary cargo. Kick on the engines.
Systems on. Launch sequence complete.
Oh. Forward. And you see that little mark there? That's in the center of the screen. That is the Hurston Dynamics building. Yes, you can see it from space. That kind of says it all, doesn't it? I could just fly directly from here down to there.
Quantum travel engaged.
But it'll be faster if I go this way. What's the point of having a quantum drive if you don't use it? And I'm in an armistice zone, which means I don't have to worry about people shooting at me. Now I'm going to head down to the little hard to see rectangular box ahead, which is the landing area of Tisa Spaceport. Let's see if I can get down there a little faster. I realize it's counterintuitive to be wanting to go faster toward the ground, but there you have it. I hear people compare Loreville a lot with the setting of Blade Runner. Aside from the Hurston Dynamics building, I don't see it. I know there's a YouTube video out there that's done a comparison of fictional building sizes, and the Hurston Dynamics building did compare pretty favorably with the Tyrell building in Blade Runner.
Lorville landing services. One moment. I'm checking availability.
Oh, you do that. Be so polite. Now give me a landing pad.
Please proceed to landing assignment.
Well, technically it's a landing hangar, because all the parking is underground parking here. And unfortunately, unlike some of the cars you have out there today, I do not have side cameras and rear cameras. And I'm basically flying a bus. So I will probably be going to the third-person view to at least get me inside. Plus, you know, I'm off-center because this is a multi-crew ship, or at least has the capacity for multiple crew. But that means I'm off center, which means I can't, rely upon dead wrecking. Otherwise, I'll just end up dead. Haha, I made a pun. Okay, let's see. It looks like I'm actually pretty good, which is unusual. Ooh. Much better than I thought it would be.
Landing gear down. Auto land on. Port collision.
Oh yes, the collision indicators that are usually wrong.
Landing successful.
I hear the landing successful, but they're not closing the hangar doors, which means I don't think it was successful. Is that from my hangar? No, it's not. And I don't like that because that means I can't have landed right. That means there's parking violations in my future.
Launch sequence complete.
And I'm not going to tolerate that, so I'm going to see if I can readjust myself slightly.
Landing successful.
Come on, guys.
Launch sequence complete.
I will get myself landed in here properly. I don't feel like paying landing fees.
Successful. Launch sequence complete.
I may have to live with a fine.
Landing successful.
Well, you know what? Fine.
Engines off.
As far as I'm concerned, I did what I was supposed to do. So I'm going to try to get clever. Of course, I may not be able to get clever. If I can pull off what I'd like to pull off, I'm going to basically just go into the spaceport, store the ship, and that frees up the landing pad and not have to worry about any parking fines. Unfortunately, what I suspect is going to happen is I'm going to go to the retrieval terminal, and instead of giving me an option to store it, it's going to give me an option to claim it, which I will not do because I have cargo on board. If I claim it, the cargo is gone. I will happily pay a fine over losing the cargo. The money is a lot different. Impound fee, cheap. Cargo, expensive. Yeah, that's what I thought. Claim. Well, you know what? I did my part. You want to do the parking fines? Be my guest. So we are going to go through the corridors of the station so I can get to the train station that will take me to the Hurston Dynamics building, where I will be selling the remainder of those medical supplies. Oh, stay open, stay open. Ah! Just like Metro. Always hit the train the last second.
Trespassing or attempting to trespass on train tracks is a serious and dangerous offense.
So we'll just sit here and wait. Luckily, it looks like they
Now
will be.
arriving. Stand by and let passengers disembark before boarding.
Yes, arriving in a timely.
Step away from the platform edge when train is approaching.
As you can see, they're not exactly what you call well up-kept trains. I mean, look at all the gunk on the windows. Of course, that should probably tell you something about the atmosphere
Security reserves the right to
of
search
Lorville.
travelers at any time.
Let's just say that it is not a worker's paradise, and leave it at that. It is the opposite of a worker's paradise. Actually, if I think about it, it's not Blade Runner setting that's reminding me of. If they could pull it off, I'm convinced that this would be Spaceballs the city. They would sell you the air if they could. The nice thing about running these trains, though. Ah, good. I sound like someone complaining about the ship being landed where it shouldn't be, even though I landed exactly where I'm supposed to. Luckily, it's not a crime to park poorly, even though I did everything right. I'm really annoyed by that.
Now arriving, Central Station. Please watch your step when
Warning,
disembarking
you
the
are
train.
blocking an active flight lane. Please vacate the vicinity.
Oh please, the active flight bay was the one that was assigned. Well, you know, when these things happen, you just tell yourself, it's an alpha. It's an alpha.
Initiating ship storage procedure.
Use it as a mantra, and
Safety,
you will never go
please
wrong.
vacate the area. Thank you for your cooperation.
Yeah, they like to build their statues, don't they? I wonder if that's gold or brass.
Initiating ship storage procedure. For your safety, please vacate the area.
Wait a second,
Thank you for
this
your
is
cooperation.
Hurston. Odds are most likely that's neither. It's probably Laranite. So we are going to the Central Trade Area. Central Business District, technically speaking. Where I will sell the remainder of those medical supplies. Although not as much as I would have gotten on this station, but it does have the advantage of allowing me to sell all of it. And that's really all I care about right now. And that nets me to a nice net total today of 452,000 credits, which isn't enough to buy any of the really good ships because they're in the millions, but it gets me closer. I'm kind of looking at the Prospector, which is like 2 million. I'm not going to make it there, not unless money persists, and odds are I'll probably try to spend as much of it as possible before the next patch lands. There's that quantum beacon again. Well, too late now. And I think that's a good a place as any to wrap things up for the day. Did a little flying, did a little trading, did a little bounty hunting, and most importantly, I've assured myself that the frame rate for Screaming Star Citizen is working much better than it did when I tried to do it during Invictus Week. So as far as I'm concerned, this was a big success. I'm not going to promise another Scream on Star Citizen anytime soon, although you never know, I might decide to make it a regular thing, probably sometime on Saturday afternoons or something like that perhaps. Don't know, haven't decided, I'll think about it. But at the very least, you can still be assured that I will be on, again, Wednesday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern, streaming Star Trek Online and continuing the adventures of the character Tellel and the Romulan Republic. And next time we'll be kind of getting into the nitty-gritty of the secret espionage politics embodied by the Tal Shiar. Until then, this is Korath Landwalker, signing off.